adjust either on the angle or you can flip it. It's probably easier to flip it before you angle it, but you know, I'm going to flip it vertical. And then I can rotate it. And you'll notice now you'll have a more exact sleeve. So before it had a different part of the print showing here. Now that it's flipped, it can be the exact placement as the other sleeve. So that's if you want to be extra. Okay. Even in the front, maybe I don't want it. Press select. Maybe I want to be very particular about how I want my stripes. Maybe I want my 2 stripes down the center front or a little bit off. So we're going to be very careful about how we want our placement to be. Because how you do this is how they're going to cut it out. So if you show it like this, they're going to cut it like this, where it looks kind of asymmetrical in a way, where it's like not center front. If you make sure that maybe you want the center, the big yellow stripe down the center front, and this stripe along the corner, then you do that. So you need to prepare it exactly how you want it to be cut. Actually, I like that. It's not symmetrical. Okay. Any questions about how we move and shift the pattern around? Yeah. Yes, question? What's the question?
How to move it.
How to move it? You missed it? Okay. Direct select. So you're using the direct select tool, and then you hold down this key, the tilde key. When you hold it down, then you can move it anywhere. Okay. So the key is this tilde key. This is what's going to allow you to rotate within the pattern, shift around the pattern, reflect within the, this is the key. Okay, how do we feel about this flag? This compared to this, how is it? Much better? Much more realistic? Can we make it even more realistic, or should we stop there? I think we go further, guys. Let's go even further, okay? This part is a little bit tricky. Like I have to read my notes for this because I don't usually do it. So take special notes. This one's a little bit tricky. But we are going to, right now we have it where it's like very flat on the body, which is fine if you're doing a tech class. So let's just do another copy of this. So we have our swatch. We have step 1. flat. 2. Now I want to do a more accurate. But when you do a render is supposed to be like what it would look like, more like on the body. So the one that we did now here is kind of like flat. You see that the pattern fabric is very flat, right? So what we're going to do now is shift it a little bit so it's following a bit more the curve of the body. Okay, so we have our third copy here. And let's edit that one. Okay, so first we're going to draw a box, draw a square around what we're going to distort. So we're going to focus on the center body. I think the sleeves are fine. We want the center body to kind of curve around. You see how there's like, it goes in at the waist and then it goes out at the hip. This is also really good if you're doing something with gathering or a flare skirt, where the pattern, let's say you have a plaid or a stripe, if you have a flared skirt or a gathered skirt, it's not going to just be straight, right? It's going to change the angle of the pattern. So we're going to use this technique for that. So right now we're going to focus by drawing a box around. Make a box that has no fill. So take out the fill. And draw it just around the shape that we're going to be distorting, which is going to be our body. I'm just going to make it bigger. Bigger than the shape. Okay? Step 1, we have our box. Step 2, we're going to sample the exact fill from the body using the eyedrop tool. So we use the eyedrop tool. So with the square still selected that we just drew, we're going to select the eyedropper tool. And we're going to select that center body fill. We're doing the eyedropper and not just using the swatch because we scaled this. It's a bit different than the actual swatch now, so we want to make sure we're using the same thing that we manipulated already. Okay, step 3, we're going to rasterize. So we're going to go to Object, Rasterize. Object, Rasterize. Things we're going to check on our options. We're going to make sure this is 150. And the background, we're going to make sure transparent is selected. And for this one, we're going to do art optimize. So just make sure you have those 3 selections. 150 resolution, transparent, and art optimized. Okay. Now, we're going to send this object to the back. So select the rectangle, arrange, send to back. Alright. Now, we're going to go object. Object and go down to envelope distort. Object, envelope distort. And we're going to do make with mesh. Object, envelope distort, mesh. Now we have here this grid. It's a mesh grid basically. So at each of these points on the grid is where we can like manipulate the pattern slightly by making it curved in or curved out. So we can add more rows and more columns. And each of these points is going to allow us to change those small details. Now you don't actually want to do too much. You actually want to start with just a smaller number because you can always add to it later. I recommend starting with 3 rows and 3 columns. Because right now we want to kind of maybe manipulate somewhere around the bust and definitely around the waist. Maybe not so much the bust, definitely the waist. So I'm going to focus on these 3. So we're going to start with 3 rows, 3 columns. You can always add more later. Press OK. Now we're going to use a tool that we used last week to give more perspective to this very flat body. So come over here to the free transform, as we remember. Let's open up our free transform panel. And we want to come down to free distort. So we're in the free transform, and we're going to select the free distort tool at the bottom. Okay. So now with the free distort, can start. If you need to, you can make it So let's say, for example, if you had like I had to take the fill off of the shirt. I've never had to do that before, but if your thing isn't showing on top of it, just take the fill off of the shirt. But let's say, for example, you had like a skirt that was like tight at the waist and flared at the bottom. This is not what I do for this shirt, by the way, but let's say you had something like that. Then you could give that more perspective, where it's going in at the top and flaring out more at the bottom, for example. That's not what we're doing here, but I just want you to see that. Basically, you can set it up so it's nice. I am going to do a little bit more in at the shoulders though. And you have to be careful because these lines do get wavy, so you need to just make sure the perspective is kind of nice. It does take some playing around with, which is why we're not going to finish in class today. We're going to play with it a little bit at home. So you don't want to distort it too much. So if you had a bunch of lines and you're distorting it too much, it would show a lot. So I'm going to try to get it back to my original. Just wanted to show you that. There we go. And you can use the direct select tool to go in and adjust each of the points on the in the grid, in the mesh. So this is so good. So good if you're doing a skirt with any kind of pleating or with like gathering, you can adjust it. Obviously, this is a pretty straight garment, so I'm not going to adjust too much. But I just want to show you, like, let's say you have, like, bust here. You can kind of show that there's going over a bust, so that the plaid lines are kind of going over the mounts instead of going flat through. At the waist here, instead of going straight down, I'm going to bring it in a smidge. You can bring it in a little bit to show instead of it going straight, it's kind of curving in a bit and then curving out a bit at the bottom. And again, when you're doing these lines, you want to make sure it's kind of parallel to the outer edges. So I'm looking at this. I'm looking at my side seam and kind of wanting these shapes to kind of follow that side seam a bit. I know that there's bust points here. So I'm seeing where these mesh points are kind of at the apex, and adjusting it a little bit to show how it's going to fall over the bust. Straightening that out. So this is a technique that you would use more so as a fashion designer than you would as a technical designer, because this is how you would fully render the garment to see how it looks like on the body. As we know with tech flats, it's mostly showing what it looks like flat on the garment. But have you guys ever seen the floating like flats? Like an image of the garment, but it looks like it's floating on the body, but it's not on a body. This is kind of what this replicates. So we have our flat one, and then we can have one that has a little bit, looks like it's on the body, but floating. So there's no body inside of it. So two styles of flats. You can literally tinker with this all day, so I'm just gonna stop. I want to fix this a little bit more. Oh, let me show you. If you want to add a mesh, let's say something is bothering you in here, you need to add a little bit more control somewhere. Where do you go? Properties. mesh tool. Just looks like a bunch of mesh here. You can select this. And then let's say I want to add, I don't know, something down the center. I select it and you can add more meshes on it. Okay. So I can add that mesh and then I can manipulate this so it's nice and straight. Okay, I don't have time to perfect this, but you will make it as nice as possible. Ooh, this is wavy, but I'm just going to stop here because I need to show you how to then get it on the garment. So let's pretend that this is perfect. All right, so next, we're going to get this pattern and fill it into the garment. So we're going to select the mesh, and you're going to Control or Command X to cut. Cut that image out. Select the shape. Select the shape. Come down here just below the window of the fill and stroke. There's three options here. Draw normal, draw behind, or draw inside. We're going to select the draw inside mode, the one on the far right. Okay, so we've selected the draw inside mode. And then we're going to do Shift Control or Shift Command V to paste in place. And then it places perfectly onto the body. So then we have the difference between this one that looks more like a floating flat, where it's on the body. You can see how the stripes move with the body. Also, this is really, really good to use if you have gathering or pleats or any kind of movement that also needs to be shown on the flat. But we're not doing that, we're doing this. So, good to use for then. Also, good to use for floating, or we just have the flat. And this is only used if you have literally just a basic that's flat. There's no body to it, okay? We have these two options. Yes, let me do that one more time. Okay. So I'm here with my mesh shape that I really like. Let's say I perfected it. Okay, I'm going to cut. So Command X or Control X. Cut it. Come down here below the color swatches. You have option draw normal, draw behind, or draw inside. We're going to select draw inside mode. Oh, sorry, we have to select it first. Select the shape that we're going to actually throw it in, and then draw inside.
You should draw inside, I cannot select it.
Why?
I don't know.
You select the shape?
Yes, I did. Maybe I close it. Vì ở tiền. Tục nó tiền phải không?